Today's build is based on a technique called Shou Sugi Ban. I was watching a YouTube channel called Inspire Woodcraft, who I will link in the description below, and he had an 8-video series on this technique. I thought it would be a cool thing to try out on a flag. This is also going to be a spring project, not a fall project, but we hit 70 degrees here the other day and I took advantage of the weather. I highly recommend you do this type of a burn outdoors, not in your garage, not in any facility. Be safe. Don't burn anything down. If you're going to do it inside, bucket of water, fire extinguisher, just to be safe. You're going to char the wood to a point where it will actually start on fire at times. So that's why I highly recommend you do this outdoors. Also, in this video, you will not see the whole lumber cutting. We're going to jump right into the burn section. So if you'd like to see that, go 2 videos back to how to build a flag step by step. We are using the same lumber as last time. You will need 7 8-foot 1x2s. You're going to cut each 8-footer down to 37 inches. You will get 2 stripes per board. Then you're going to cut 4 more boards from the leftover at 19 inches for the back support. If you're using common lumber, you're not going to cut 19 inches. Your dimensions will be different. If you're using select, it's exactly 1.5 inches wide. If you're cutting your own lumber, cut it to 1.5 to get to the same dimensions today. Let's jump into the burn. Now we're going to char the wood. I'm using Bernzomatic blue tank, which is propane gas. You can use the yellow canister, which is MAP gas, or propane from your grill if you have the right connector. I also put utility blades to stop me from going over to where the union's going to go. I do not want to burn that side, or char that side, I should say, because you will not be able to engrave the stars. When you're charring the wood like this, it's going to harden the grain, and you will not be able to engrave that. Now that we're going to move into the sanding, we're going to use Nylox 4-inch flat brushes. You'll see me using 3 different types. The first one is a gray 80 grit, then I move down to orange, which is 120 grit, and then I go to the blue, which is 240 grit. This takes time. It took about 3 hours between the charring, which wasn't too long, but the sanding takes a lot of time. So 3.5 hours is what I put into with sanding this off, and that also includes in the future of the video, you'll see me using some steel wool on some of this as well. So that's all added in together. Definitely a time-consuming project, but it came out absolutely beautiful in the end. I did knock out the utility blades as I was burning to get them out of my way, but now I'm going to hammer them back in. But you can see the wood difference here. If you look, everything that was done with those flat brushes, the wood is a lot whiter compared to where the union's at. So I mean, you put a lot of time into sanding these things. I am using Varathane semi-transparent water base, navy blue. I got this from Home Depot. I could not get this color in Minwax. The red I'm going to use in a moment here is the same thing. It's a semi-transparent water base, and that is crimson. Now when sanding the white, I'm using Minwax semi-transparent water base. True white, you do not have to get it mixed. It comes in the can that color. I do not wipe the white off. It is so transparent or translucent. Coat it, leave it, let it dry, and then come back and put another coat. But for this project, we're going to coat it, and now I'm going to get some steel wool out in a moment, and this is double ox steel wool, very fine. For those who are unfamiliar, #00 will be on the front of the bag. Now when you're doing this with the steel wool, I'm not going over the whole board. I am just going over the grain. And it is very time consuming, but it is well worth it because you'll see in a few moments I'm going to do 3 of the boards, do a really bad slow motion, flip the boards around so I can show you a comparison between what was steel wooled and what wasn't. And all you're doing here is taking the stain off. I do this twice. I stain the board, let it dry, steel wool it, coat it again, and then I take the steel wool one more time and go over just the grain. So now we're going to get it assembled here. So when you're lining your boards up, make sure you have some kind of a straight edge just to line them up, and then you're going to flip your boards over. Make sure you flip them over in the correct direction. Don't want to glue it together and nail the back boards on, and then you find out you got your union on the wrong side. So then we're going to flip the boards up, and I did get a comment from the previous video from Jim Kaz, so a little shout out to Jim, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. He suggested, because he also builds flags, to glue closer to the back of the stripes, and this way you won't have squeeze out on the front of the flag. So I'll try that in a future video. It makes sense. So thank you, Jim, for the tip. Anybody else has comments or tips or tricks for building these flags, or something else that you want to see on this channel, let me know. Just do a comment below and we'll see what we can do. All right, now we're going to start clamping everything so the glue can dry, and then we can also get our back supports put on. If you don't have a system like this, don't worry. Get some dumbbells, get your toolbox out, whatever, just to weigh it down. In a future video, I will show you guys how to build this jig, because I did get a comment from someone else. I don't have their name offhand right now, but they did ask if I can show how to build that. So we'll go through that in a future video. But for right now, get it clamped however you can, and we're going to take those boards that we cut at 19 inches and start nailing those on. I am using a brad nailer here, and these are 1¼ brads, 16 gauge. I hit 2 nails or 2 brads per stripe as I go up each board here. Now that we have it assembled, let's flip it over and get the stencil on for the stars. As you can see, I'm going to tape it down here with blue tape or green tape, something that's not too adhesive, and we're just going to pencil in the stars. I'm not going to bore you with the tedious work of penciling in 50 stars, so I'm just going to do a few and we're going to move on. Now off camera, I already outlined the stars, and for that I use the Dremel bit 105. For right now with the engraving or carving, which isn't really the right words, I don't know what to call it, because you're not really engraving, you're not carving, you're just taking the stain off, that's it. I'm using Dremel bit 106. Now this bothered me for 2 days. I wasn't sure what to do. It came out, the flag came out phenomenal. But the pine versus the white on the wood just didn't sit well with me. I decided that I'm going to go ahead and stain them. So I got my detail brushes out and I stained all the stars with the same white stain that I used on the stripes. This was tedious. It took 2 coats, but it was well worth it. It really brought the whole flag together. Now that all the tedious work is done with the stars, I'd like to finish the back of the flag, give it a quick burn, then I'm going to give it a sand and then clear coat it with polyacrylic. And once we're done with the poly and it dries, I like to get my hangers on the back. I prefer using picture wire. I know a lot of people use like the 2 different clasps. I always hated receiving a picture where I had to put 2 holes in the wall, line it up, get the level. Is the ceiling straight to the mark? Is the floor straight to the mark? Get the laser level. I always hated that. So I just use picture wire, 1 hole in the wall, hang it, level it, walk away. The picture wire I'm using is rated for 30 pounds. The flag itself weighs 11 to 12 pounds. I always give it a quick clean before I clear coat it. This is rubbing alcohol that I'm using. You can use mineral spirits or damp rag with water. The clear coat that I'm using is Minwax, water-based polyacrylic. I find it's more suiting to use indoors instead of polyurethane. It's just less of an odor. And the spray can, I save that for the summer when I'm doing that stuff outside. Now let's take a look at the final product here. It came out absolutely beautiful. I wish the camera would pick up the true texture that it does in real life, but that grain popping through with that technique gives it a total 3D effect. If you have any comments, tips, tricks about this flag or anything else that I've been building on this channel, please comment below. I'm trying to respond to everybody when I get an opportunity to do so. Thank you guys very much. I hope you enjoyed this build.